Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI Interconnect podcast. I'm your host, Laurent. On this show, we speak with founders and technology leaders who are shaping critical infrastructure and the future of innovation across AI, cybersecurity, fintech, and deep tech. AI Interconnect is the platform for real conversation with builders, no pitches, no hype, just insight, challenges, and long term vision from people operating in the field. Today, I'm joined by Rajinder Singh, founder and CEO of PQCrypto.ai, a company focused on making enterprises quantum safe across networks, application, and data using post-quantum cryptography solution. Rajinder, thank you for being here. Very, very happy to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm super excited to talk about the work that we are doing. Thank you so much.
Me too, me too. And cryptography. Okay, I love this. Let's start with your background so listeners understand the path that led you here. You have a rare background, 3 decades in cybersecurity, IoT, AI, and cryptography, plus multiple startup and patents. That kind of journey usually leads to a very intentional company building. Rajinder, how did your 30-year background in cybersecurity standards and startup building lead up specifically to focus on post-quantum cryptography with PQ Crypto?
Yes, so thank you once again. So that's a great question. So actually, like you mentioned, I've been in the industry for almost 3 decades now, more than 3 decades, and kind of covering cybersecurity, IoT, networking, and of course, cryptography in there. And as part of this journey, I have been learning and understanding the systems in and out, and of course, hands-on developing and building these solutions. So now we are at a juncture where people have been talking about quantum computers, but they are becoming as real as it gets. The quantum computers are here. And because of that, the entire cryptography or security, the digital security that we stand on today, every industry, no matter which, you name it, they all stand on some kind of digital security. All that digital security is under threat from quantum computers. And because of my previous experience for 3 decades in the industry, I understand how these systems are built. I understand where those digital securities are and where are the vulnerable points are. And as we learn more and more about quantum computers, it was very obvious to me that something needs to be done here. And based on my experience and background, I thought, okay, let's start a company which will focus primarily on post-quantum cryptography and vulnerabilities, of course, and then help enterprises become secure or build a security posture to prevent against quantum attacks. So that's how my experience in the industry, my experience in cybersecurity, and hands-on experience in most of all these things led me to this point where I said it's time to start a new startup.
Yeah. Wow. I just love it. Quantum attack. Okay. that's that's resonates. Was there a specific moment when you realize current PKI systems would eventually become vulnerable?
I would say it was a learning process where, because of my involvement in IoT, Internet of Things, in my previous company, where I was their technical fellow for 8 years and pretty much involved in architecting and designing every product that is on the shelves today. And of course, the product security. So I was involved in the process where I knew how these products, cameras and doorbells, and home security devices are protected or secured using cryptography. And as people in the industry, and I'm also involved in the IoT standards bodies, kind of involved in writing the standards for the IoT space, as we started talking about post quantum cryptography, it was kind of becoming more and more obvious to me that uh, that we need to do something here. And so I would say in about last year and a half or so, I've been in different discussions and different conversations with industry experts about what to do, how to prepare for the quantum computers and or attacks from the quantum computers. So that's about, I would say, a year and a half or so. That's when it kind of dawned upon me that it's time. And when the opportunity came where I had to say, okay, let's do something different.
Okay, of course. During our pre-podcast conversation, you did explain that your career has consistently revolved around security layers, from network to IoT to encryption system, and that naturally led you to see the coming quantum shift earlier than most. What stand out with PQ Crypto is that you are not just talking about future threats, you are positioning solutions that are already usable today across enterprise environments. When you explain PQ Crypto to someone outside the cryptography space, how do you describe what you actually do and who you help?
Definitely. So if you think about cybersecurity or security in general using cryptography, you can, let me step back a little bit. So for anything digital that we are doing, whether it's our connected homes, connected devices, connected vehicles, financial, fintech, healthcare, social media, you name it, everything is riding on digital security. There's a term called PKI, public key infrastructure. There's something called digital certificates, which ties an identity to individual components, and then there are algorithms being used which will generate key pairs, a private key, public key, and then those keys are being used for signing, encrypting, decrypting stuff that is being communicated across the internet. So you pick any industry, so all of them are relying on this algorithms and this PKI infrastructure and cryptography to do things securely. So now the way to think about the security is there is a network. So essentially, when communication is happening, there's a network layer security where we all probably understand to some extent VPN, virtual private networks, essentially where you are protecting the entire network. You're becoming anything within that network is protected. That's a network layer security. And then the next layer would be where applications themselves, like two applications communicate, let's say mobile app, and communicating with an API gateway. Those are applications. They could be communicating with each other, and that's security. And then the third layer is actually the data or the whatever communication is happening, whatever is being transferred back and forth, that the payload itself has to be encrypted and protected. So when you think about security at these three layers, then it becomes very obvious that we need to think about security or digital security, and specifically in this case, security from quantum attacks across all those three layers. And that's where PQCrypto.ai, our focus is not just to make one component secure. We came up with a solution, and we have working solution today, which will protect your enterprise's assets across all those three layers. We have VPNs, we have quantum safe VPNs, which will protect your networks. Essentially, anything that is within that VPN can be secure, and they are using NIST approved quantum safe algorithms. So we did the quantum safe VPNs for the network layer. Then at the application layer, we have built applications, for example, API gateways, load balancer, databases, mobile apps, which are also using quantum safe algorithms. So for any communication among themselves. And then the third layer comes the data. Then we also came up with the tools and SDKs and libraries so that when, let's say, you and I are communicating, if I'm sending some data to you or you're sending data to me, we are actually not only we are encrypting, number one, we are in an encrypted network. Second layer is you and I are communicating using applications which are secure, quantum secure. And then the data that I'm passing you, I encrypt it using quantum safe algorithms, and you decrypt it using, the corresponding quantum safe algorithm keys, and then vice versa. So what we are looking is at an end-to-end security solution for quantum vulnerabilities, not just one component.
Love it. Fantastic. Which industry are currently the most receptive to quantum safe solution?
It's a very good question, and let me answer it in two different ways. First, I have to answer a little bit more as a technologist, and then I'll come to specifically answering this question. So, as we all know, quantum computers are coming. They are here. So when I'm asked this question, so my usual answer is It's not about when the quantum attacks will happen. The question is about, is your infrastructure, is your data, whatever you're doing today, ready for quantum attacks? If the answer to that is yes, then don't wait for the quantum computers to be there for the attack to happen. We need to prepare ourselves now. Now, coming to your question, which industry is more receptive? With that earlier answer, everybody who is using any kind of cryptography today are vulnerable. They are vulnerable. Now, from a very practical perspective, what I would say is anybody who is storing long-term data, any data, let's say, for example, healthcare. If my data, your data is being stored today using classical algorithms, this data will still be relevant 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now. If you are a pharmaceutical company and doing a lot of research, and if that data is being stored today with classical algorithms, that research you need to protect. So to a point, anything that is being stored long term today needs to be protected now. Now, there's a term called harvest now, decrypt later. It's happening. It is happening. And to protect against that, any industry who is storing anything long term, they need to take action, immediate action now to protect. But then so this is once in a lifetime cryptography migration that's happening. So any industry and every industry will take about 3 to 5 years for that migration path. So there's no magic switch that you'll flip one day and say we'll quantum safe. You have to start that today. So everybody who is listening to this podcast should be alarmed. They should be investing time and resources into this now. They could do it in-house, they could do it anywhere, but they should be focusing on protecting their critical infrastructure and data from quantum attacks now.
Wonderful. Talk to Rajinder. Okay. Then earlier you just mentioned that PQ Crypto can make enterprises quantum safe end to end across VPN, application, and store data. That level of scope is quite ambitious and strategic. Building a company in a category that most of the market still underestimates requires strong conviction and patience. And right now, Rajinder, what feels like the hardest part of running and scaling PQ Crypto?
To be very honest, the hardest part is not the technical part. The hardest part is to go and convince people that that your system is vulnerable. People are still kind of focused on some new tech that's out there, AI, and when we say, hey, quantum attacks are happening as we speak, and nation states may already be harvesting your data. And as a startup, the hardest part is when everybody is looking at the big players to solve their problems from a cybersecurity perspective. So, and I'll be very honest, whatever we have done so far and whatever we are doing, we have this deep tech knowledge and we are able to run it much faster than even the big tech. The hardest challenge here is not what we are capable to do, what we can do, or what we are doing. Hardest part is to convince the other party, hey, this is real, this is happening, and you should address it now. And they are either distracted with a lot of AI bubble. AI is a great tool, by the way. I love it. But the focus is still there, and focus on the cybersecurity, especially the quantum vulnerability, is not yet there. People have just started to talk. But of course, the industry, the big players or big vendors in the cybersecurity, they are all aware of it. They must be working on it. All I have to say is we are far ahead, and we have tools ready that can not only allow you to test the waters, understand the ecosystem, and then prepare yourself before the actual attacks happen. So, again, long and short of answer for your question is, what is the toughest part? Toughest part is to actually convince the adopters right now that it's coming. And the day one attack happens or one thing happens, they'll all be convinced. But they don't. That's where we need to have our high beams on so that we look around the corners as a technologist. We cannot just have our heads down in the hole and say, we are busy digging this hole, don't bother me. We need to pull our head out and look ahead. And then this is, like I said, this is very critical. And I would say that is the hardest part.
Yeah, I'm convinced. And yeah, definitely. Then the main challenge is education, adoption, and enterprise sales cycle, maybe also. Yeah, I
Yes,
guess.
of course, those things. Well, I think, see, I strongly believe in one. I'm a technologist at heart. I believe when we solve a great problem or a good problem, the business is a byproduct of solving good problems. Business happens. So yes, of course, that's this lot of work there, and lot of people with experience on the business side are needed there, and that will definitely be something that we'll have to scale up. But as a technologist, our prime focus right now is make the tools available. I believe in show than tell. I would rather show you something rather than talk about it, and then talk about the business side of things. So in the last 4, 5, 6 months, that short period of time, our focus has been do the groundwork, build the tools and applications, address all these vulnerabilities at every layer, and now we are like picking our heads up and then talking to potential adopters and investors. And then, of course, as part of this journey now, the next steps would be to scale and find the enterprise kind of adopters. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. I just love it. And you also shared that you are actively looking for early adopters while solutions are ready and already ready today.
Yes.
That suggests a classic deep tech challenge and market readiness versus technology readiness. And then across cybersecurity and AI, I hear more discussion about data longevity and long term encryption risk, especially with what some call, as you said before, harvest now, decrypt later. From your vantage point in cybersecurity and post quantum cryptographic, what shifts matter most right now, but it's still underappreciated by most companies?
So can you elaborate a little bit more on that question?
What what shift and then shift? I mean, you see in the market what shift matter most right now, but it's still seen as underappreciated by most
So
companies.
yeah, so okay, one thing I'll say is, see, everybody's moving towards AI. And it's a great technology that came across, and it's going to speed up things. Everything is it's speeding up. It is. I think one of the in my career. I mean, of course, when we started our career along when the .coms time came, and then smartphones and social media and vehicles and IoT and all that. So this is great. But again, you'll also see that AI rides on data. Data is the king, and that data, whatever AI models and everybody is using today, is still not quantum safe. Any company using data, their embeddings, using AI, I mean, I would say every company today, if they are building their models, if they are building their agents, if they're building their AI solution without taking into account quantum security or quantum vulnerabilities, they are up for a big surprise in the very near future. They are up for a big surprise. It's like building a sand castle. I mean, it'll look like a great castle. It'll work, but the day it starts crumbling, you won't have anything to do. If anybody is building their solutions today from ground up, they should be putting in some quantum vulnerability solutions in it, bake it in now. Anything that exists today, they need to start looking at retrofitting it now. So again, I don't know if I'm really answering your question, but what I'm looking at is this lot of like shift towards AI, but nobody is thinking about quantum vulnerabilities in AI. Maybe somebody.
You do answer the question perfectly. That's scary. Bah, that's
Think
scary.
think about if I am building a AI-based company and a solution, AI runs on data.
Yeah, of course.
If data is being
And
harvested
secured,
today,
not secure data.
they think it's secure today. Of course, it's secure today. But what if it's hackable? What happens to this company, the whole thing that's riding on? So they're running, everybody's running in this direction, AI, without carrying the necessary tools with them. And they'll be like 10 miles ahead, and then they have to look back and then run back to fix things. But they need to be really looking at every company as of now should have a quantum vulnerability roles with experts who are just focused on quantum vulnerabilities.
Yeah, then what signals do you personally track to evaluate when the market is waking up?
So there are a lot of signals. Fed is waking, the government is waking up, big tech is waking up. I saw just a week ago a news article from Google recommending the government, US government, to start coming up with mandates and requirements for quantum safety. Big cybersecurity vendors are starting to, they must be working on it. I have no doubts about that. They are not looking into it. They should be. They have to. They are like making some noise. They're having summits around post quantum vulnerabilities now. And governments across the globe are talking about it. And researchers and academics in the quantum computing space are talking about it now, that it's happening. It is happening. Yes. So I see those, and I get a chance to talk to many researchers, and they are all saying, yes, it's happening.
Okay, the Q day.
Yes.
During our discussion, you highlighted that data is the biggest resource today, and that crypted data stored now could be vulnerable in the future once quantum capability mature. And this is a very strategic way to frame urgency.
Yes.
You describe this transition as a once-in-a-lifetime shift in cryptography infrastructure and potentially impacting every industry that relies on secure data. Then my question is, looking ahead 12 to 18 months, what does success realistically looks like for PQ Crypto?
So success, the way we would look at is where our solution or any, like say, solution that we're building, we see adopters, we actually see running it in the field. Our immediate goal is to run it in the labs or in controlled environments with potential adopters. And then so that it's also about educating them, bringing them up to speed, and then showing them, okay, if they have something critical assets that they want to protect, we can set up VPNs, or we can set up their particular applications that they want to protect. And then, by the way, I forgot to mention that we also have a tool, we call it PQC Lens. It is actually an agentic tool which actually can navigate your network, look at your cryptography bill of material, and it'll give you a list of all the vulnerabilities that exist from a cryptography or from post-quantum crypto perspective. And then it'll also recommend what needs to be done there to fix those vulnerabilities. And we are building, this is an evolving tool which will eventually be sitting in the pipeline, continuously monitoring your network, continuously looking at the vulnerabilities, alerting, and then also plugging those vulnerabilities. It's like intrusion detection and prevention in the security space. It'll be cryptography, vulnerabilities detection and prevention tool. So that's what we have actually running today. It's not automatically fixing it, but it's of course alerting and notifying and recommending. So our success would be where we are running this tool. Let's say for an enterprise, like for you, as an example, it is now keeping you up to speed. Here is your crypto bomb. Now you're aware of where your vulnerabilities exist. And this tool also stack rank. It will say you cannot fix everything at the same time. And we will say these are the most critical and the reason why they are. So number one, educating our potential adopters about their vulnerabilities that exist there, and they continuously monitoring it. And the next step would be then protecting those vulnerabilities or fixing those vulnerabilities using the tools and applications that we have. So our goal in the next 18 months, I would say our goal, we have the solution ready today, and we have about 5 partnerships and adoptions that we have announced, which we are actually in the process of deploying and testing in controlled environments, and to the point that they will eventually slowly move into production. So our goal is that in the next 6 months, we have about 5 to 10 adoptions, and probably in the next year or so, within the next 1 year, have also some one or two big enterprises using our solution. So that's where we are looking for at, and that would, I mean, find our kind of a success, or like I would say, that's our journey that we're looking for. We already have about 5 in pipeline right now, working on. There are a couple more in the pipeline, and then we are just slowly making progress.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Awesome. Are you prioritizing pilots, partnerships, or enterprise deployment first?
I would say as a startup, uh, we all of them are as important for us as technologists and cybersecurity and post quantum crypto experts. Every deployment, no matter whether it's a big deployment or a small deployment, is as important. We are focused on all three, but as at this point, definitely we want to do pilots first, because we don't want. Say if you are the adopter, we don't want to just go and deploy it in the field for you right away, right? We want to first make you also comfortable, bring you up to speed. As part of the process, also kind of bake our own solution to make it robust. So yes, our focus is on pilots right now, because we are too early in the deployment stage. And we actually are running our own solution on it. Our deployment on the cloud and the production is all, we are eating our own dog food right now, and it works. But at the same time, for anything which is mission critical for our potential customers, we want to take utmost care in terms of taking them on this journey. So pilots, and then of course we are ready to do the same thing for our big enterprises also as they happen.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Wonderful. But what type of, and you mentioned it a little bit, early adopters are you most interested in working
I
with
would
right now?
say, yeah. So again, I won't say that this adopter is more vulnerable than this adopter. They're all vulnerable. We are aware. Our solution. That's why I said, when in the last 5 months, what we did is we prepared the groundwork, and now that the key work is done, now we can build the verticals as we want. But our focus would still be anybody who's storing data long term. Healthcare definitely is very important. IoT is important. IoT when it's storing something long term, or IoT when it's building something long term. Let's say today there are about 35 billion connected devices out there, like cameras and doorbells and this and that. They're all quantum vulnerable. Let's say if that vulnerability comes today, are we going to replace all those 34 billion overnight? No. So that journey has to start now.
Yeah. And then the journey has to start. And how long will it take to make
Exactly.
these?
Yes. So that journey has to start now. So, and the connected vehicle, any car, any vehicle in the auto industry, it takes about 5 to 7 years for a single feature to be adopted into a vehicle before that goes into a vehicle on the road. Everything that is being built on the vehicle industry today is connected. If it is not quantum safe today, anything that's when I'm driving is all electronically controlled. There's PKI on board those vehicles. They are connected to the, so my driving, my steering, my braking, my engine functions, my other functions in the vehicle, they're all electronically controlled. We are setting up for a big, I would say, kind of a attack if we are not addressing those now. And auto industry is not going to say, hey, let's put this quantum safe thing and then let's roll the vehicles on the road. It's not going to happen. Suddenly, all the
And
vintage cars, all the cars. Sorry, just to finish my thought. Suddenly, all the cars that
yes,
have been
yes.
sold in the 90s will be more valuable than these new cars, because those cars are like free to drive.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, then, but who knows about striking a quantum war? Who knows how to do that? I mean, the people don't know how to do that.
Okay, so people probably, quantum computers are not available to general public today. Of course, we all know big companies have it, but it could be a very clandestine operation happening with many actor states. They have no reason to declare that they have quantum computers. They're saying we need about 3,000 to 4,000 qubits to crack the current RSA algorithms, and that is like only a couple of years away. But why would any actor state even declare it if they have it? But of course, I'm not an expert on the quantum computers myself. But who will have this system to attack? Definitely, actor states will have, and some of these things are what governments can do, or what is being done in the secret world is far ahead of what is being exposed out in the public. So I have no reason, as a technologist, as a person who's working on this solution, to believe. I have no reason to believe that it is probably not going to happen tomorrow, or it's not happening today. I have to ask this question: what if? As an engineer, we all need to always ask a question: what if? If you're not asking that question, then we are always leaving some doors open for some surprises. So we have to ask, what if it's happening today? What if it happens tomorrow? If we don't have an answer to that, then we are not doing the right thing.
It's unbelievable. Amazing. Rajinder, thank you so much for joining. We could stay 4 hours like this. So many questions, so many things, but we're going to keep the conversation going. I'm sure. Thank you so much for joining. Strong insight into your journey, your industry, and the work you're doing at PQ Crypto. Thank you so much for being here, taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really wonderful talking to you. Thank you.
Where can people find you and learn about PC Crypto and yourself?
So we our website is called PQCrypto.ai. So it's public out there, and I'm also on LinkedIn, so they can definitely reach me through our website. The information is there. There's a contact us page, or if you find me on LinkedIn, I'm always very active in terms of responding back.
Wonderful.
So I always make sure that whether it's an email or any message that comes to me from a genuine source, not a bot.
Yes.
I always
Wonderful. Yeah,
thank you.
PQ Crypto. I
.ai.
misspelled it. PQ Crypto. Yes, definitely. .ai. Rajinder, thank you so much. It was great. We'll do it again. Let's do it again in a year from now, something. But we need to move. We need to learn more and act fast.
That's the key. Yes, thank you. No, wonderful talking to you. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to having more such conversations with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it for today's episode of AI Interconnect. If you enjoy it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Thank you, Rajinder. See you very, very soon.